Hey guys, this is Lacey May from Pedal Passion. I want to welcome you to this first entry into the pedal pages. This is basically going to be our blog diary of real life accounts of pedal pumping and cranking stories. I wanted to take some time to kind of explain how I got into pedal pumping and some of my reasons for wanting to share my fetish with you on my website, pedalpassion.com. The funny thing is that I find pedal pumping to be a heavily male-dominated world, and I haven't really found many women who enjoy pedal pumping as much as the guys do. Maybe it's because the guys tend to have more of a connection to cars than women, but whatever the case, I'd like to share my original story with you. So as far back as I can remember, pedal pumping has always been a huge part of my life, and it all started when I was a little girl. I grew up in a small town in Missouri. My father had passed away, and it was just me and my mother living in a tiny 2-bedroom house. I remember my mother waking me up on the cold mornings to get me ready for school. She would fix me a hot bowl of oatmeal, and while I was at the table eating, she would say to me, "Now, Lacey May, you sit there and eat your breakfast. Mommy's got to go warm up the truck." Then she would grab her coat, hat, gloves, and the truck keys, and then head out into the freezing cold air. I can still remember the feeling of that brisk winter breeze that would blow into the house every time she walked out the door. Oh, how I hated the winter time. It was so cold. We had an old Chevy truck, very similar to the one that you see in my videos, Lacey May's Workout Day and Lacey May's Field Cold Start. You can see these on my website, pedalpassion.com. That's pedal-passion.com. Anyway, this truck could be very hard to start on super cold mornings, and during the winter time in Missouri, that was most mornings. While sitting at the table eating my oatmeal, I recall hearing the sounds of the truck struggling to turn over. Rrr, 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 rrr. Then it would fire up for about 2 seconds and then die. My mom would try it again. Rrr, 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 rrr. This time she had to crank it a little longer, then it would fire up again and then die again. While sitting at the kitchen table, listening to my mother fight what seemed to be a long, losing battle with our old rusty truck, I began to notice some strange feelings. A weird combination of fear, excitement, anger, and sexual arousal. One morning it got so intense I could feel myself beginning to get a little moist, if you know what I mean. Eventually the truck would finally roar to life, and my mother would rev the engine so damn hard that I could smell the exhaust fumes coming through the walls into the house. When she finally got the truck to where it would run on its own, I could hear her slam the driver door shut as she started to make her way back into the house. She would come through the door with a tired, weary look on her face, breathing heavy and complaining, "God, I hate that damn truck." By the time we were ready to leave the house, the truck was purring like a kitten. I remember climbing into the passenger seat, feeling the warm and toasty air from the heater. Then my mom would slowly back out of the driveway, and then she would take me to school. I never did tell my mother about the strange feelings that I would experience every time I would hear her struggle to start our old raggedy truck. I kept those feelings to myself and began to wonder if I had some sort of problem. Why did I get these feelings every time my mother had to go warm up the truck? What was the big deal? Was I the only one that felt this way? Those and many other questions would be answered in time. As I got older and learned about this thing called the internet, I discovered whole websites and message boards related to this issue. I became familiar with terms like pedal pumping and cranking. Basically, I began to realize that there were tons of people out there that felt exactly like me. There was just one problem, though. They were all guys. I couldn't find any females that I could relate to with this fetish. This made me go back to feeling like a freak again. Why was I the only woman that got sexually excited to hear a car trying to turn over? I felt like all the wind had been taken out of my sail, and I went back into a shell of fear and insecurity. Eventually, I found other women who were just like me. It wasn't easy, though, and I had to be willing to be very vulnerable to find these women. I'll go into more detail about that, though, in later updates. This is just one of the many stories I have to share of my beginnings in the world of cranking and pedal pumping. Thank you for your time, and I hope you have enjoyed this session of the Pedal Pages. Be sure to check out our website, pedalpassion.com. That's www.pedal-passion.com.